Have you ever wondered how bread, a staple in our diets, came to be? Our story begins in the depths of prehistory, long before the advent of written language and agriculture. Humanity's relationship with bread is as old as civilization itself, with its roots tracing back to our early ancestors roaming the earth in search of sustenance. Picture this: the world is a vast, uncharted wilderness. Early humans are nomadic, moving from place to place, gathering wild grains from the tall grasses that sway in the wind. These grains are hard and inedible in their raw form, so our ancestors used stones to grind them into a coarse flour. But raw flour isn't much better than raw grain. It's the discovery of fire that changes everything. With fire, these early humans find they can transform their flour and water mixture into a flat, hard biscuit by baking it over hot stones. This primitive bread, rough and basic as it might be, provides a new, reliable source of nutrition. It's a game changer. As time passes, these early bread makers begin to experiment. They discover that leaving their mixture out in the open air before baking results in a lighter, airier bread. This is the earliest form of sourdough, the first leavened bread. It's a breakthrough that revolutionizes the way humans eat, paving the way for the development of more complex bread-making techniques and recipes. This humble beginning, the simple act of grinding grains and baking them over hot stones, is the first step in a journey that spans thousands of years and countless cultures. Bread, in its many forms, becomes a cornerstone of human civilization, a symbol of sustenance and survival, a staple food that sustains entire populations. And so, from the depths of prehistory, a culinary revolution begins. From these early experiments with grains and fire, the foundation for one of the world's oldest and most essential foods is laid. This is the origin of bread, a testament to human ingenuity and the enduring power of simplicity. And thus the foundation for one of the world's oldest and most essential foods was laid. From its humble beginnings, bread quickly became a cornerstone in the diets and cultures of ancient civilizations. Let's embark on a journey back in time to the bustling bakeries of ancient Egypt. The Egyptians were one of the first civilizations to truly master the art of bread making. They developed intricate techniques to grind emmer and barley into flour, which was then mixed with water to form a dough. This dough was left to ferment, allowing natural yeasts to work their magic and create light, fluffy loaves. Bread was so integral to Egyptian life that it was used as a form of currency and was often included in tombs as sustenance for the afterlife. Moving on to ancient Greece, we find that bread took on a whole new level of importance. The Greeks were the first to establish bakeries, recognizing the need for a place dedicated solely to the production of bread. They developed a plethora of bread varieties, from barley loaves for the common folk to refined wheat breads for the elite. Bread was such a staple in Greek culture that their word for it, artos, is derived from the verb to notice, a testament to its prominence. Now, let's journey to the heart of the Roman Empire. The Romans took bread making to new heights, innovating with different grains, shapes, and flavors. They introduced the first large-scale bakeries, complete with mills and ovens, which allowed for the mass production of bread. In addition to being a daily staple, bread also played a crucial role in religious rituals and offerings. In these ancient societies, bread was more than just sustenance. It was a symbol of prosperity, a marker of social status, and a vital part of religious ceremonies. It was a testament to the ingenuity of these civilizations, who took simple ingredients, grain, water, and time, and transformed them into a staple that has stood the test of time. Whether as a symbol of sustenance or social status, bread's importance was deeply ingrained in these ancient societies. As time marched on, so did the evolution of bread. The medieval period, a time often thought of as dark and stagnant, was in fact a hotbed of innovation and experimentation in the realm of bread making. A key development during this period was the introduction of yeast as a leavening agent. Before this, bread was often flat and dense, but yeast changed the game, giving bread its characteristic lightness and fluffiness. This was a true revolution in the world of baking. Just imagine biting into the first fluffy loaf after a lifetime of eating flatbread. It must have been quite an experience. But where did medieval bakers get this yeast? Well, they found it in the unlikeliest of places, the local brewery. You see, yeast is a byproduct of the beer brewing process. Bakers realized that by adding this frothy substance to their dough, they could produce bread that was lighter and more palatable. This was the birth of the leavened bread we know and love today. But the story of bread in the medieval period isn't just about yeast. Bread also played a significant role in religious rituals and ceremonies. The communion wafer, a thin, unleavened bread, is a key element in Christian liturgy, symbolizing the body of Christ. This sacred role of bread made the art of baking an important and respected profession. Baking guilds emerged, fostering the development of artisanal breads and protecting the secrets of their craft. These guilds were responsible for a range of breads, from the humble brown loaf to the ornate manchette, a luxurious white bread reserved for the upper echelons of society. This period saw bread evolve from a simple foodstuff to a symbol of social status, a religious icon, and an artisanal craft. It was a time of experimentation and discovery, of tradition and innovation, of bread in all its many forms. From guilds to cathedrals, bread continued to shape and be shaped by the societies it fed. Bread, in its many forms, has traveled far and wide, shaping and being shaped by the cultures it encounters. As we journey across the globe, we find ourselves amidst a medley of bread varieties, each unique in its own way, each telling a different tale of culinary heritage and innovation. Let's begin our journey in Europe, the home of the iconic French baguette. This slender loaf, golden and crackly on the outside, soft and chewy on the inside, is a testament to the art of French baking. From France, we travel to Italy, where the focaccia, a flat oven-baked bread, reigns supreme, its surface dotted with dimples and often adorned with herbs, olives, and tomatoes. We then hop over to the Middle East, where we find the pita bread. This soft, slightly leavened flatbread is baked at high temperatures, causing the dough to puff up and create a pocket perfect for stuffing with a variety of fillings. Next, we journey to Asia, where bread takes on a whole new form. In India, we find the roti, a flatbread made from stone-ground wholemeal flour, traditionally cooked on a tava. Meanwhile, in China, we find the baozi, a type of steamed bun often stuffed with savory or sweet fillings. Our journey doesn't end there. In Africa, we find the injera, a sourdough-risen flatbread with a unique, slightly spongy texture, native to Ethiopia and Eritrea. It is traditionally used as both a plate and a utensil for scooping up stews and sauces. Finally, we arrive in the Americas. In North America, we have the classic sandwich loaf, soft and perfect for making everything from school lunches to French toasts. Traveling south, we find the tortilla, a thin, unleavened flatbread made from maize or wheat, a staple in Mexican cuisine. From baguettes to tortillas, bread truly is a universal language, uniting us through shared culinary heritage. It's a testament to human creativity and resilience, a delicious reminder of how we've adapted one of the world's oldest foods to suit our diverse tastes and traditions. In our modern world, bread continues to evolve, shaped by technological advances and changing trends. First, let's take a look at how technology has revolutionized bread production. With the dawn of the Industrial Revolution in the late 18th century, bread making underwent a significant transformation. The invention of automated machinery meant that bread could be mass-produced in factories, making it more accessible and affordable. This industrialization of baking processes also led to the development of new types of bread, such as pre-sliced bread in the early 20th century, a convenience we often take for granted today. However, the industrialization of bread making hasn't been without its critics. Many argue that mass-produced bread lacks the flavor and quality of traditionally made loaves. This has led to a resurgence of artisanal bakeries in recent years. These bakeries pride themselves on using traditional methods and high-quality ingredients to create bread that is not only delicious, but also rich in nutritional value. But the innovations in bread making don't stop there. Modern trends have seen a revival of ancient grains, such as spelt, kamut, and einkorn. These grains, once staples of our ancestors, are making a comeback in contemporary baking due to their unique flavors and health benefits. And then there's the growing interest in homemade bread. More and more people are rolling up their sleeves and getting their hands doughy, baking fresh loaves in their own kitchens. Sourdough starters have become particularly popular, with many home bakers relishing the challenge of cultivating their own wild yeast. This trend reflects a broader shift towards mindful eating and a desire to reconnect with the food we consume. So as we can see, while technology has drastically changed the way we produce bread, it has also opened up new opportunities for innovation and creativity. And with the current trends towards artisanal and homemade bread, it's clear that our love for this age-old staple is as strong as ever. Whether it's the revival of ancient grains or the growing interest in homemade bread, the story of bread is far from over.